film sucks. Indie film sucks. It's the Indie Film Sucks podcast. Yeah.
Coming at you from the mean streets of St. Louis, from a basement on South Broadway, the Indie Film Sucks podcast. Because here we are.
Wow, that's the most positive. Wow. That's positive for Chris. That's pretty good.
It gets shorter every time.
I know, Dragon.
That's all I got.
Now here we are. The boys are back, boy. Hey, cheers. What do you got? Anybody got one?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, cheers, everybody. We all have
What
three
are we representing here?
three different beers going on
What
here
am I
from
representing here? I'm representing
Germany.
the Netherlands here.
Oh, Netherlands? Okay, Chris
Yeah,
is he's
somewhere
from
Irish.
Belgium.
Yeah, and
Belgium for me.
and I've got good old St. Louis
Yeah,
here.
ole.
Olé!
Nah, it's good to be back in the saddle. Just the boys back today.
Yeah, how y'all doing out there? Good? Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
So mixing it up a little bit, but yeah, I still want to keep the tradition. What do you think, boys?
Lay it on me.
Yeah. So what if I said, what's your suck?
What do you mean? I don't. What do you want to?
What does that mean?
I haven't heard that in a long
In a
time.
long time. Remember when we used to do that?
We used to do that.
Yeah, it was fun.
That was 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago we were doing that.
Greg, do you have a suck?
Do we? Yeah, thanks, Brock.
Do I have a suck? Yeah. I got a lot of sucks.
Not in a good way, I guess. No. There's some do like a positive spin on a suck. How about that? Okay, Mackie, how you doing over there?
I'm doing great. Greg is just, I think I saw smoke coming out of his ears. He was thinking sorry. No, there's a lot of stuff going on. You know what my suck is the time in between when we do projects. Like, okay, this is a project, right? But film projects, right? And
All right.
One of the things we're going to be talking about tonight is pre-production. And when can we get back into pre-production on another project? So my suck is in independent film is how long it takes to get from one project to the next, because we all are anxious to get to the next because we're good at filmmaking. Filmmaking is fun, but there's a lot of other things that need to be done for company, for promotion, for everything else that goes along with it, that you gotta almost hold back from having that fun and making that next film until it's the right time. So I know we're considering jumping into a new project, but we're talking about pre-production tonight. That's my suck. My suck is how long it takes in between projects.
No, that's a pretty good suck. That can kind of go with mine. So, yeah, you're right, Mackie. We are talking about pre-production and looking at going into possibly pre-producing another film pretty soon, if that makes any sense.
Well, we don't want to pre-produce it. We want to produce it.
Yeah, yes.
What do? I
pre-produce.
I pre-produce films.
Is that kind of like pre-ejaculation? Is that...
I don't know. I was thinking reproduction.
Okay, reproduction. There we go.
It's a whole other topic.
That is. We can get into that later.
This is Greg's suck right now.
Yeah, right
hell he's
now. This moment.
Editing this bullshit is my suck.
Edit this out. This is just gold, Jerry.
Yeah. No, so my suck is knowing that we want to keep doing films, and that's the pre-production, the production, the post-production. That's all kind of fun and exciting. But knowing at the end, the very end, getting it out there for people to see is so hard and difficult, and the business model still sucks. That's a sucky part to me, because there's so many of us out here trying to make movies, trying to find a way to make a living at it, or just break even, for crying out loud. And everybody is an artist, and we're really just trying to get our art out there, and we really care about it. Everyone's passionate about it. And then we still got this fucking wall at the end of the, we have to jump over, break through, if you're lucky enough to be able to do so. And so that's a sucky part to me. Usually when I start a project, like in any business or coaching a team, the end result is, you build something and then you're going to get rewarded for it. in independent film, you don't necessarily ever get that reward of getting it out there for people to see. So to me, that's the sucky part, because I still think the system's kind of broken. Hopefully it gets better soon somehow, some way. So that's my suck. No, everybody, not just us, puts this hard work into it, and there's still this, you just don't know. You know what I mean? And usually when you start a project, you know what the end product's going to be, which is whatever you're doing. Us, we're producing movies. We're trying to get that out there for people to see, and it's hard to get that out there to the masses for people to see because there's so much out there, and still the back end's very muddy.
No, I like and respect that, Brock, because we're going to still do it.
Yeah.
Even though we know, I like the way you put the wall, right? We know there's a wall there. We can go over it, through it, around it, but it's always there, and we haven't figured out how to either shorten the wall or remove the wall. But yeah, we still go into pre-production. We still put that thing out there knowing 6, 8, 9 months, whatever it is, we're going to hit it. We're going to be right. Hopefully it's a little easier for us, or it's a thinner wall, or it's a smaller wall, but it's still there.
Well, at least we know the wall's there. We're not going to get surprised.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true, because before we possibly didn't know the wall was there, or we were naive to think the wall wasn't there.
Or we just thought, there'd be somebody with a golden whatever at the end of the tunnel.
Like a ladder or something for us to help climb us
or a
over.
producer or a distributor going,
there's someone who says, "Oh, I really love what you guys have done with so little. I see your potential.
Right.
Here's a hand up." No, the only thing there is someone stomping in your hand.
Right. Or it's so far out of your reach, right? It's a 10-foot high wall. He's at the top, and you can only reach up 6 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see all
It's
these
unattainable.
You see all these new streaming platforms. They're not new anymore, but they're all the big ones, and actually the smaller ones are getting big now, starting to produce their own stuff, which is even smaller room for independent films to be seen. So, I mean, you got Hulu's going to start doing their own stuff.
No, it's because it wasn't lucrative before. It was lucrative just to put it out, and that's
Yeah.
how they made their money. Now it's so lucrative for them to do their own thing.
I wonder how they get so much money to do that. I'm very, very curious how they make so much money to be able to start producing their own stuff.
It's my $5.99 a month
Could be. It could be.
to watch my own stuff.
It could be, or maybe the reporting's not just getting back to us.
Okay, well, yes, exactly. All right, Grega.
All right, my suck, I guess, is kind of similar to both of what you guys talked about. It's not having enough time to get all of the things done that need to be done regarding your previous work and maybe something that you're currently working on that's not where it needs to be. So we have a lot of older titles that right now we've managed to pull some back from the distributor. And then, of course, we have another film that's out there illegally
Oh, shit.
that we have to get that sorted out because the contract ended. We don't know who has it out there for certain, but we got to get that sorted out. So that takes time. And then have to submit the various projects to, let's just say, Film Hub. That takes time. You have to get all the QC stuff done. That takes time. You have to get the closed caption done. That takes time. And it's not that big of a deal if you just made one film, it's your first film, and you're doing everything that you got to get done, and you're putting it out there. But if you have movies from 10, 15, some cases 20 years ago, and they're just kind of sitting in your vault, and you're like, oh, man, I mean, they're not doing me any good sitting here. And honest to God, they're probably not going to do me any good out there because who knows who's even going to see it, who's going to know about it, because I have no money to market it.
And who's going to steal it?
And who's going to steal it. But, man, at least if it's out there, it has a chance of doing me some good, as opposed to sitting on a hard drive, it's doing you no good. And I get it. It's just, it's a hell of a lot more enticing to start working on a new project than it is to deal with your old project and all of that horse shit. So that is my suck.
Yep.
Is dealing with all of the existing loose ends that have to be tied up. And here's the thing about, let's just say, shady distributors, right? They know that by and large, independent filmmakers do not have the resources to legally force them to do what's right. Because it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, we know.
We know because
We know.
one of our films, our World War II film, Rhineland, we had to go through a bunch of legal hoops, and even that was not fully resolved in the way that I would have liked it. But we still had to spend a bunch of money, and we had to essentially threaten people, well, we're going to have to spend more money, and we'll do it too if you force us to, before they did the right thing. And took it down from where it wasn't supposed to be. But the fact is, it's, we're not a studio. We don't have deep pockets, and we don't have lawyers on retainer that we can afford to just throw thousands and thousands of dollars at. So if we have to pull the trigger on something like that, it's a major undertaking, it's a major expense, and it's a pain in the fucking ass. And distributors know this. Mm-hmm. They know that, okay, yeah, technically I'm doing something illegal, I'm doing something maybe even immoral, but unless they call me on it, I'm not going to do anything about it. And most filmmakers won't call them on it because if it's a pain in the ass. And then if you do call them on it, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll take this down. Hey, no problem. Oh, I didn't realize." Or, "Oh,
It's mostly about the money, though.
it is about the money."
Because I don't care if it's a pain in the ass. I'd still find a way to get it done. But by talking to one of our lawyers, just to get Rhineland, to get the actual real numbers, if we could ever really gotten them, it had possibly taken years, lots of litigation, and probably six figures
Easy.
to find out how much money we're supposed to be really getting
Yeah.
off a movie that was stolen from us. Crazy.
Yeah, it was stolen by a third. I don't know. Okay, stolen is probably a harsh word.
No,
So,
stolen.
I don't know if it was because I don't know the exact situation. It's like if you buy a stolen bike, but you didn't know it was a stolen bike. Is it?
That's still stolen.
It's yeah, you're right. It's still stolen, but you didn't know it was a stolen bike.
Right, but when the owner comes to reclaim it, you have to give it
You-
legally. You have to give
exactly.
it back to him,
And
and
that-
no recourse for you.
And that's
Right.
essentially the situation we were in. The third party said, "Oh, we didn't know. We thought we were free and clear with this film." It's like, no, you weren't. Here's all the proof that you weren't. And they're like, oh, we're sorry.
We're sorry, but
Great.
we're not going to pay you. We're not going to pay you for all the money that we made off of it.
We haven't done one of these by ourselves in a while, and Greg has a lot to say.
Yeah, a lot of-
We better get to our main topic.
No, I was going to
But I
say,
love
the
this
good
sucks.
news is...
You started this, Mackie.
Well, no,
You asked us.
Here's the
goddammit.
good news. Here's the good news. Here's the good news.
There's good news.
We're
Is
going to
it?
start pre-production on another one that could be stolen later.
Yes. Yay.
Yay! So everything we just said
That's what
is
we
something.
do.
But
That's-
couldn't agree with you more about the little tasks that, especially when you didn't do them up front, how many little tasks there are.
It builds up, and it
that
builds
builds
up.
right? Especially when you're part-time people and you got full-time jobs, full-time lives. That there's these little things that you always got to check those boxes and say, what did we get done this week?
Yeah.
We got 2 things copyrighted. We got this done, and I don't know. We put $5 in the bank, so we didn't get an
Yeah.
overdraft.
How much money do we need to put in the account?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
exactly. So thanks for your sucks. That was really really good.
It was your
You're
idea.
welcome.
It was your idea.
That
man.
was a great idea.
All Mackie's idea.
No, that's right. It's not called Any Film
The
Sucks
last
for
10
nothing.
minutes is Mackie's idea.
That's my fault. So pre-production. So, I mean, it's the
It's the fun. Start of the fun.
Yes, it is the start of the fun.
It is the start of the fun in
we
a
say
lot
that?
of ways. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's the start of the fun. So, Greg, jump in. You're the probably most experienced at the table with pre-production. So jump into it.
Okay, so where we were, and this was sometime last year, we're sitting on a bunch of scripts, and a lot of these screenplays are high 6-figure, mid 6-figure budget films. And I also think we have a reasonable shot at raising that money through various sources and investors.
Our screenplays, though, not somebody else's.
Our
just separate.
screenplays, yeah. So we can barely do our own
Right.
movies. We can't help you.
Right.
We can't help you find money, man. If you
Writing's free.
If you think we can help you find money, and that's why you're listening to this podcast, just stop.
Right.
Because we can't.
We can show you how to find money. We just can't give it to you.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we can do that.
I don't think we can do that.
No, okay.
Anyway,
I
point
think I
is, we were sitting on a bunch of screenplays, and we were working on one that it's a story that I really love, and I think it would make an excellent film and be a hell of a lot of fun to make. But when we were doing the breakdown for it, it's like, man, this is so many shooting days, and man, there's so many locations, and God, the cast and the crew, and it's too big. Because let me tell you something. When you're listen up, boys.
I'm ready.
Listening. This might be new.
When you are at this sort of under the radar indie level, making $100,000 movie, seems like that's the answer to all your prayers. But really, it's just that much harder to make that money back, right? There's a certain level you get to that it's relatively easy to make that money back because you have everything, the marketing, the studio, you get everything behind you. And then you're at the bargain basement level where you're not spending that much money, so that's also relatively easy to make back. But in the middle ground, this sort of gray area, it's really tough, and it's really tough right now to make any money at all, much less make your budget back. So with that in mind, we kind of thought, all right, why don't we dial it back, and why don't we do a very inexpensive idea that is also a short shooting schedule?
Sounds like we should be in pre-production on that.
Yeah, and that's what this idea was born out of. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes you don't always want to or have to shoot for the moon.
No, and I would agree with that 1,000%, that just because you think you got a bigger idea that costs more money doesn't mean it's a more profitable idea for the ROI on things. So we always got to be considering that. And now that I've been in this for a little bit, I always look at going, what do I put into my budget that's going to make my movie stand out against the other movies, right? For marketing, whatever it is, that's what you have to do. If not, what is that price tag? Because that's the millions of dollars, right?
Yep.
Why do studios, of course they make good movies, but they have the marketing budget, right?
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the money, what do they say, Brock? I think 50% of your budget should go to marketing or more, or what?
Somewhere around there.
Right, exactly. So most people can't do that at the independent level because they have
at least 20%.
Yeah, because they have to throw everything at the production side of things. So agree with what you're saying, Grega, on if you can't do that, that's what I would say. If you can't put that much money into making people notice, I don't care if it's a turd or a gem, if you can't make people notice your film and have an opportunity to go buy it, then you have to make something where you think you can pay for it yourself and put and get a good return on investment because it's so low budget.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear that.
It's true.
I have had that conversation. Like, well, I just want to make art. Like, well, then just make art, man. But just know that this whole thing is called show business, and everyone ignores the business part because they want to, because I love making movies, right? When I started making movies, I didn't know anything about the business part, and I still hardly do, to be honest. But the point is, I know everyone wants to make art, and I don't care about making money, and that's cool, but this shit still costs money. You got to pay your crew. You got to throw some money at your cast. Man, if you could get everybody to do this for free, and believe me, we have in the past, but you got to reach a certain point where you have to pay people something. And in order to pay them something, you got to have money. And in order to have money in a film, you got to have a film that you can possibly sell. So if you can't do any of that, then make a dirt cheap film.
And it could be a great film, but if nobody knows about it, it's not going to sell. Hands down.
Yeah.
Don't expect it to get noticed out there.
Nobody cares out there. Nobody cares. Festivals don't care. Streaming services, Film Hub, they don't care. Nobody cares. Your friends and family, nobody cares. Nobody cares about that shit. So you're right. If people don't know about it and they can't notice it somehow, it ain't going to move. Eyeballs aren't going to get on it. And it'll be just as hard, if not harder, to make the next one. So the point is, if you can't make the movie that you really want to make something else.
Yeah, we've always said, keep making movies.
Right.
Whatever, just do it. Find a way to do it.
But do it cheap. Do it cheap.
Well, most people have to do it cheap anyway, because most people don't have the resources to, the uncle with a bunch of money needs to get rid of it, or you don't know a rich guy that needs to, here's a tip, find a rich guy and see if they need a tax write-off.
Say that for another show, Brock.
Yeah. Well, not everybody knows those type of people,
right?
And it's not easy to get money from them because it's just not, because they're smart and savvy. But yeah, you got to keep if you have passion for it, you got to find a way to do it. And that's what we've always done. We've always found a way. We found a way to raise money. We found a ways to make a movie without any money. We're looking at pre-production of a movie that Greg mentioned, is not going to be nearly the budget of Red Knight or even Rhineland or, even Sound of Nothing even probably. But it's a movie that we can, we don't have to go for investors.
Right.
It's something we can figure out on our own and still be able to pay people.
Yeah, and it's a solid idea.
No, I agree with that. We're not going to disclose the idea, obviously, on this, but I want to go back to what the topic is from that. And you set the stage really well, is do something. Do something that you can do within what you believe you want to do, whether it's art for art's sake, whether it's an ROI, stay within your limits, understand what you're getting into, and make the film you need to make for whatever you're trying to accomplish. And right now, I think we've stepped up that next level, and now we're taking a step back because we see how the market has shifted and changed.
We're taking a step back on the financial part of it, not the actual production.
No, absolutely not the production part of it, because we know how to make a good movie, and we've learned how to do that. And once you understand that, I think you can make films at all different ranges in, price-wise or production-wise.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have any real numbers from our last
Not yet.
Red Knight of the
Not yet,
Skies.
right.
It's only been out for 6 months now to the public or
Something
so.
like
7
that.
months.
Right.
Not a whole lot of time. So, we could still end up being in the black on that, which is all our hope. Which everybody's hope is for their film is getting the black,
Right.
But this particular, I guess, film we're getting ready to make, or not trying to make, we're going to make it.
Right.
What Greg and Mackie both touched on is, and especially Greg earlier, he's talking about, the getting a return back. It's easier to get a return back in a lower budget movie, because say you make a $10,000 movie, well, you only need to make $10,000 back.
Yes.
And then you're in the black.
Yes.
Right.
So if you can make a killer movie for cheaper, that's the way to go.
And again, I mean, it takes some experience to do that.
That's what I was going to get into. It's just don't think you can go out and make a $10,000 movie.
I mean, you can. You absolutely
Oh no,
can.
yes, I'm not saying people can't go out and do that, but when you have 7, 8, 9, 10 movies under your belt at all different things, your production value on what you're going to get out of the same camera shot or your actors or what you're doing, where you're putting your money, is going to be different.
Yeah, and at that point, what counts and you know what doesn't count.
Exactly. That's what I was getting at.
So Gail Gallagher, she was on the show. She is a producer, friend of the show, friend of us, local filmmaker. Her and her husband, they've been doing this stuff longer than we have. She was telling a story about a production she worked on where it was a first-time filmmaker, and they were just bleeding money because, we have to shoot in this one certain location, which really could have been anywhere. But this location had personal meaning. I get that, but it's like, man, the woods is the woods. Don't spend money that you don't have to spend.
Correct. The camera only sees the frame, or the audience only sees the frame.
Yes.
So you show the audience what you want them to see, and if you want it to be Paris, you go find something in St. Louis that looks like Paris, and you can pull it off.
The Arch, that works.
Right. Yes.
That's close to that.
The Arc de Triomphe.
It's a monument,
Oh,
right?
you know what I'm saying,
Okay.
guys.
No,
You
yeah.
buy some stock footage or something. But you know what I'm saying. It's like
Absolutely.
you don't have to go to Paris to do that. So, all right, I'm going to dive into the meaning of pre-production here.
Oh yeah, let's get into there.
So we can start diving into that to teach our young Padawans out there who are listening in tonight and want to learn a little bit about pre-production.
So step one, Greg.
So, pre-production, just like it sounds, is the production before the production. So you have
Pre-production.
the production, which is the actual filming of the film. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just going
You
by
are-
what I know.
you are
Thank
correct.
And then you have post-production, which is everything that comes after it, which is putting the final touches on the film.
That's where you realize everything you screwed up in production.
Exactly. How much more money it's going to cost you. So I believe if we broke those three things out, okay, you would think they were equally weighted, right? As far as everything needs to be in its order. My opinion, after being a producer on Red Knight at Skies and looking at it, and being involved in pre-production but not know what I was doing in pre-production, is this is where it all starts. If you get this wrong, production's going to come off. You work on the fly. It's independent film. We're used to doing that. But post-production is not going to be as good, in my opinion, because you didn't put the work in pre-production.
Even production.
I think production, but you don't know in production. You think you're getting it. I mean, yeah, you could, because what pre-production consists of what? Breaking down the script.
Well, first you got to have a script. That's pre-production to me.
Oh, is pre-production having a script?
Because a script is your Bible. If you don't have a script, you can't even go into pre-production.
Well, that's right. So you just kind of counted yourself out there, buddy.
We're taking it as a given. You have the script written.
Yeah, you have a script. We've decided we're going to... You don't go in pre-production until you say, this script is greenlit to go into pre-production to see if we can do it.
Yeah.
It really makes or breaks whether you can make the script or not, because we've been in pre-production on the film you were just talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And we went, there's 19 locations on this. You gotta kidding me?
There was like 29.
Well, exactly. But we just went, whoa, we didn't realize that until we broke the script down. And we actually started sitting here and we're starting going, well, there's a day, there's another day, 32 days on a production that we had maybe a budget for 15 or 17 days.
Yeah.
And we just went, no, it can't do it. So we didn't even go into pre-production on that because we did some pre-production breaking it down.
Essentially.
So let's say we have a script.
Okay, let's say we do.
So, and it's a good script.
Kind of a script.
Yes, and it's a good script written by Chris Grega. And we think this is a viable thing. Let's break this down. So in pre-production, what you're going to do is you're going to sit down and you're going to break down the scenes. You're going to start looking at actors, actresses, essential personnel, and crew, and locations.
And effects if needed.
And effects and like, I guess, specialty crew, like effects people, that kind of stuff, stunt people, those kind of things. And then you're just going to start applying that to a breakout and say who's in what scene, and then you start applying, I think, a budget to that, and then you look at that and just go, is this viable for us from a high level budget to say I have $10,000 to shoot this movie? Does this work on budgetary numbers? And if you say yes, then you go into actual pre-production, which is hiring your cast, right? Hiring your crew.
Well, before you get to that,
Help me out here.
that's
I'm flying by the seat of my pants here.
well, when you start breaking down a script, that's when you find out how many days do you think it's going to take to shoot this thing.
Right.
And that's one of the most important considerations of all, is how long is this going to take to shoot? And when everyone starts out, they think they can do,
20 pages in a day.
20 pages in a day. It ain't going to happen. Maybe you can do 3, maybe you can do 5, but no, you're not going to shoot 80 scenes in a day that look anything reasonable, right? But this is when you figure out how many days it's going to take to shoot this thing. And then when you have that roughed in, then you can figure out, okay, how many days do we need certain cast members for? How many days do we need select crew members for? And then what's everyone's rate? What's everyone going to get paid for all this? So then you add all that up, and then, okay, we got to feed people, and we have to, have all those considerations and insurance and all that other crap. And you also have to figure out how many locations do we have, and where are these locations in relation to each other? Because you don't want to have to do a company move if you can avoid it on the same shooting day. And everyone's done it, where you're shooting in location A, which is at this part of town, then you got to get to location B at this part of town. So it's putting those puzzle pieces together.
Right.
Yeah, so an independent film, you don't have a secondary camera unit usually.
No.
To go out to that second.
Not a low budget indie.
Right.
I mean, bigger budget indies.
Yeah,
sure.
We're
not talking
at the
about that.
low budget. We're at the low level, micro budget.
When Greg is talking about a company jump, you move from one location to the other. You got to pack up all your gear. You got to get the actors over, the crew. It's a thing. It's a big damn thing.
It's a big
It takes up a lot of time.
sucking pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all these things you're saying are hashed out and over-hashed out and rehashed out during pre-production, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's like the first stage. And then once you have all that sort of settled, that's when you and the DP, or maybe you yourself, what I like to do is have everything broken down. I'm not a storyboarder because I can't draw worth a shit. So I've never relied on storyboards. But I usually sit down with the DP and we make the shot list. We break down the scenes as much as we possibly can. Ideally, we go to the locations and we set up our shots there. But then you should have, before you start rolling, you should have a shot list for every scene, or at least some sort of rough shooting idea. And then how many days, and then where these days are going to take place, and who's all going to be there.
Correct. So in my opinion, to the minute detail, and I think it helps because you were saying as a director, the director sits down with the DP. So you still have producers involved with this, breaking down other things, but everybody kind of breaks off into their own little world, whereas you have a producer going, okay, where am I going to get food from? How much is that going to cost?
Yeah.
Where are we going to get insurance? So there's all that behind the scenes stuff while the director and other folks are working on things. And you'll have, in our small company, we're all on the calls. So we're all kind of talking through certain things and coming up with, it's always the director and the DP's ultimate decision when you're on a set. Doesn't matter if you're an owner or producer. You have influence and you have say, but eventually you have to turn the film over to the director, the DP, those folks.
Yeah, but also going a little deeper into as far as location goes, you talked about where they going to eat. Well, you also need to know where's the closest hospital.
Yep.
What's the police station's number? Just a bunch of little things, especially like our films, we have, fake gunfire in there. Okay,
Right.
Who do we contact in the local whatever to let them know what's going on? Are they cool with that? Do we need a permit for this? All this little stuff you have to have done in pre-production before you even get to set.
Right. If you think of it, write it down and have a conversation about it, because if it comes up on set and you didn't cover it, it could cost you a day. It could cost you a fine. It could cost you getting your set shut
whole movie,
down.
possibly.
Right. So don't think anything is too small. I think in pre-production, at least from my purview and how I handle it, I'm not afraid to bring up anything and write it down and just go, hey, have we thought of this? Because eventually it comes back around and go, that's what Mackie was saying, or that's what Brock was saying, or did we consider this? Or, hey, yeah, nice street shot in the middle of some town nowhere, but did you shut the street down? Did we talk to the police? You can't just get there and shoot.
No.
So all those little things need to be thought about as you read each page of that script, and what does that look like?
Yeah, and speaking of little things, Greg, I know you've done this forever, and I've been lucky enough to be on all the sets. I know it's probably more than one answer, but what is probably the best thing you've done in pre-production to get your movies going?
I would say one of the biggest things is getting locations locked down. Right? So, on a low-budget film, and let's say it's such a low-budget film, you can't afford to put any names in. So that's off the table. So the things you have to work with, you have to have a solid story. You have to have solid acting for that story. And I think you have to have things that add production value. And one of the relatively cheapest and easiest ways to do that is to have some nice locations. And that involves a lot of groundwork. I mean, yeah, of course, movies are shot in the woods all the time. You know why? Because the woods are usually free.
Someone has some land somewhere.
And the woods work for a lot of things. Woods and horror, they go hand in hand like a hand in glove. Countless horror films were shot in the woods.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, well,
That's a nice visual. If it
but
don't,
yeah,
if it
so
don't fit, quit.
probably one of the first most important things. I mean, after you have your script broken down, you know how many locations you have. Now you have to figure out where, and then locking these down, and then having backups, and sometimes backups for the backups, because if you're paying little or no money for locations, and believe me, outside of the coast, you can do that. You can shoot for practically nothing.
And people are happy to let you do it.
People are happy to let you do it until they're not.
Right. Well, they don't understand how films are shot.
Yeah.
Or
No.
the weather, right? If it's an outdoor shot, do you have an insort because you only got that day to do it? Could that be shot inside if you needed it to be?
Sometimes
Right.
we've done that. You go
Right.
like, well, we're going to rewrite this scene on the fly and change everything and move it inside because now it's snowing.
Right.
And it wasn't when we envisioned this.
So I couldn't agree with you more. The other thing I would add to that is you said, hey, I'm going to break this down with my DP. When you hire the crew and even the talent, their paycheck kind of starts when you hire them because actors are going to get sides, so that they have to be prepared. but DPs, first ADs, and hopefully you're lucky enough to have at least the key department heads on
Sure.
your film. But you need to hire the grips and the lighting and this guy and the all those guys. But is involving them early as much as you can without
To an extent. I mean,
well, I know, but we've
there's-
already had, like, in this movie, we've already talked to the DP. He's going out on scouting locations with us.
Yeah, the DP, the sound guy, and
right,
effects.
Right, exactly. But a lot of people wouldn't think about that because you have to bring these people in early. I was shocked when one of the people on our crew said, I'm going to need this. Didn't know that. Didn't know, A, he wasn't available to a certain time because he's working on another project.
Sure.
And B, it's going to take him X amount of time to pull off what we're trying to pull off. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the sooner you start planning stuff, and, well, like Logan Cole, who was in here interviewed previously, was talking about making effects. He's like, don't come to me the night before and say
yes.
you want an exploding head effect. It's like, man,
Right.
there's going to be a balloon covered in ketchup, and that's going to be it. It's
Right.
like,
or if you're doing a car crash or you're doing something outside of the norm, that all has to be planned in pre-production.
Yes.
And don't think. And in independent film, most people, when they're hired on a project, make sure you talk to these folks, understand that their time, that their fee for that day includes all this pre-production.
to an extent. I mean, like,
Depends.
you don't need the sound guy for pre-production meetings.
No. He knows what he does. He comes on, he puts his lavs in, he does
Yeah,
things
it's
like
mostly
this. But
the DP, Adam, and the FX, I think.
I agree. Those are the two main people that I would think.
And then production design
Production design's a big one.
and wardrobe.
Okay, see, now you're adding a list up. But my point is don't think that you can just add those people or throw them into the mix a couple weeks before. That pre-production is that time, even though you might be not shooting 6 months from now. This is the time.
Get your ducks in a row.
Get your ducks in a row.
Yeah, and it should take you. I mean, again, we're talking low budget, micro budget films here, but your pre-production should run 6 months to a year before you start
Yep.
production.
Yeah, unless you have to be done by Christmas and you're squeezing it in and then you might be rushing yourself, then I don't think there is a time for pre-production. I think you got to understand when to stop and start it because you're planning your entire production schedule off of it. But I would not shortchange pre-production at all.
No, you can't. But here's the thing, and this is just my own personal philosophy. When I think of filmmaking and the production of a film, like once you set your start date and it's go time, I always picture Indiana Jones and the boulder. And,
Gotta go.
And I'm Indiana Jones,
Yep.
and the boulder's the film. And if I stop for any reason, that's going to crush me. So once you start on the film, you got to push through that. You have to have everything lined up, and the only thing that should throw you out of it is if somehow you run out of money and you can't afford to go forward. But
Yeah.
really, you got to do everything in your power to keep that film moving.
Well, it's not a 9-to-5 job, so you've booked talent out 6 months from now that they got their calendar blocked because of the days you gave them.
Yeah.
So if that boulder's rolling and you get to that date and you're not ready for them, A, you owe them the money because that's the only respectful thing to do. But B, you don't know when they're booked, what they're booked for because you booked them 6 months out.
Yeah.
Same with your DP, same with all the other folks that you brought into this production. That's what I look at. Or somebody shut down a bar for you on a Sunday and you're supposed to be there on that day. Well, you can't just say, I'm not ready, I can't be there. Because everybody else has changed their life in order to make your production happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all this takes place after you've, in pre-production, you also raise money.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if you
yeah.
have to raise money, there's that aspect, which could be a whole other podcast. But we're going off of you either don't need to raise money.
Or you have the money.
Oh, yeah, we just assume you have the money, that it's greenlit
Right.
from a money standpoint. We didn't get into money.
No. But that's a huge part of pre-production too. I just want to let everybody know that as well.
Well, you're right, Brock, because you only have so much set aside, and if you raised it and the script calls for X, it's up to the producers or somebody to raise their hand.
We brushed on it a little bit and saying, "Oh shit, this is a 20-day shoot. We need to get it down to 15."
Thank you. Right.
That's all because of money.
Yes, and maybe this film isn't set for this, or we need to get pre-production. It's the ghost.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah. No,
So-
this has been pretty good.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it. I enjoy it because it makes you think. So we're gonna go upstairs and talk about pre-production in real life.
We are.
That's right.
Yeah. So, man, boys, it's
nice to be back.
you know.
It is. There's always every part of making a movie is huge, and you got to treat every part of it, pre-production, pre-production, production, post-production, as if you got to put everything into it every step of the way. I mean, you really do. And pre-production, the best you can plan is the best you can do. Is the best thing that you can ever do to make your movie right.
right.
Like Chris always mentions, he's going to thank future Chris for making this decision now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's a very true statement. You take care of the bullshit now, so you don't have to worry about it later.
And you know what? Sometimes things fall through the cracks.
Sure.
It's happened to everybody. It's happened to me. It's happened to probably every filmmaker who's made a film. You thought you had something covered, and it turns out you didn't, and you pay for that later. And then you pay for it again in post.
But you deal with it. My advice would be bring in multiple people in pre-production so you think of everything. Because, Greg, you do a lot of writing, directing for us, so your mind goes right to writing, directing. Mm-hmm. You might not be thinking of this detail in this specific aspect because...
He's beginning to, though. He's getting a lot better at it.
Yeah, no. He's come a long way on a lot of things, but that's
No.
because, Brock, what you bring up, right from the acting side of things or the producer side of things, I bring up everything because I didn't understand the whole process, so I asked 1,000 questions. And I think somewhere along the line, the things we bring up, we went, yes, that's going to make our life easier because this is a 5-second task now. It's a nightmare in post.
I agree with you, Mac. You get people involved with your production to help you out.
Yeah. And people are always going to, whether you use them or not, in ideas, who cares? At least it's out there and somebody said, well, did you realize that this place is only open on this day? Or guess what? They were planning on tearing that building down, Greg. I'm glad they locked you in for that. But you know what I mean? It's just little things like that. So,
And if you can't get any help, just be Robert Rodriguez.
and do it on your own.
Do it on your own.
Yeah, exactly.
Machete, too.
No, not Machete.
Which was his first one? I can't remember.
El Mariachi.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we learned a lot tonight, including El Mariachi. You know what we did learn about tonight?
What's that?
The highs.
Oh, yeah.
What else, bro?
Oh, yeah, the lows for sure.
And the in-betweens.
Of?
True
True.
independent filmmaking.
True independent
There you
filmmaking.
go.
On the Indie Film Sucks podcast, brought to you by 88mm Productions. Go to indiefilmsucks.com if you want to get a film reviewed. We do that, believe it or not. We review films on this podcast. We review them on the website. Hell, we sell films,
We
believe
do.
it or not. We've got Blu-rays. We've got
Blu-rays,
DVDs.
we got Yep, we got it all.
And in the near future, we're going to have some Indie Film Sucks shirts or hats or something.
Swag.
Yeah.
Sure.
We're
We'll
gonna,
have some more shit for
we're gonna
you
have
not
it.
to buy.
Right. We love carrying inventory.
Yes.
we need to start wearing that shit on this. Really.
Well, as soon as we have something, I will.
Yeah, all right, we'll do
I'm
it.
going to make
All
a
right,
we'll
fort
get-
out of the boxes.
All right. Cheers.
Good night.
Good night.
Indie film sucks. Indie film sucks. It's the Indie Film Sucks